Hi, my name's Jared Scarf. I'm the president and CEO of Desert Gold Ventures. We are a TX6V listed junior exploration and development company with our flagship asset located in Western Mali. And so thank you for having me today at the IIF. And I'll get right into the Desert Gold story. So high level, a little bit about Desert Gold. We are exploring and developing gold assets in the Tier 1 jurisdiction of Western Mali, an area known as the Kinyeba window. We hold 10 contiguous permits that total 440 square kilometers of ground in the heart of the Senegal-Mali Shear Zone, which is the Tier 1 district that's related to 6 gold mines and a dozen plus million plus ounce gold deposits, some of them in excess of 15 million ounces. Our asset itself, the Senegal-Mali Shear Zone project, is bracketed by Tier 1 gold mines to our north and to our southwest, and a long trend to the south as well. We have a very experienced management team with over a decade of experience in the belt. The Senegal-Mali Shear Zone hosts, our project hosts over 1 million ounces of combined resource that's inferred and measured and indicated. And it's a target-rich environment. We have 25 plus gold zones confirmed by drilling. Virtually all of them are open to depth and along strike. And only 5 of those existing gold zones contribute to that 1.1 million ounces, all of which are also open. So the main point being that there is a lot of room for growth and to expand that resource base. The company has 20,000 meters of drilling planned with another 10,000 meters of contingency for real-time follow-up, and I'll get into those details as we go on. A little bit about the high-level corporate. As I mentioned, our main listing is on the TSXV. We're also listed in Frankfurt and on the OTC QB as well. On a non-dilutive aspect, our issue and outstanding is 240.6 million. We've got 12 million options outstanding to management, board of directors. Warrants, we have 48 million. So fully diluted, we're at the 301 million mark. And the warrant schedule you can see below for your perusal. Management and shareholders, management, the board own a considerable amount at over 10%. Merck, an investment manager out of the US, owns 7%. Grand Peak, an investment manager out of Vancouver, owns 5%. Brokerage, Leeds Jones Gables, also owns a good chunk. Ross Beatty, chairman of Pan American Silver, at 3%, and some other small holders in there as well. Sonny Janda, our chairman, a major investor in the company, major shareholder, as is his family, background in real estate, but also investing in mining companies and startups. I myself started working in West Africa in 2011 with the acquisition of Transafrica Resources, which held assets in Senegal, Mali, and Rwanda. We then expanded our footprint in Mali due to the prospectivity. So I've been really part of the Mali story from the beginning for Desert Gold. Doug Engdahl is an independent director and a professional geologist. He's the chairman and CEO of Axiom, a geological exploration firm. Chris Marsh, independent director. Ty McGee is our technical qualified person and also a professional geologist. On the ground, our VP of exploration is Sheikh Ousmane Diallo, formerly Barrick Gold, 15 plus years experience in the Kinyeba window in the Birimian Greenstone Belt. So a little bit about Mali. Mali is, depending on what numbers you use at the moment, either the 3rd or 4th largest gold producer on the African continent. They had over 26 million ounces of production, reserves in 2019. Those numbers have grown. We don't have exact numbers recently, though. There have been some major discoveries such as Roscans, the B2Gold's Mamba deposit, and Oklo, and still a highly prospective and relatively underexplored belt. And a lot of the major producers and developers are there: Barrick, B2, Endeavor, Allied Gold, Hummingbird, Resolute, and BCM, just to name a few. And the Senegal Mali Shear Zone project that Desert Gold has is strategically located in the middle of all this action. So this is a regional map that shows the location of a number of the major deposits and operating mines in the belt, along with the location of our project. And so if you start at the northern end of the belt, you can see Allied Gold's Yatela and Sadiola mine. Yatela has been mined out, but Sadiola is still going. In fact, Allied's doing rapid expansion and a significant amount of exploration in the area. And our property package outlined in the yellow borders them on their southern border. Again, we have 440 square kilometers of contiguous ground. And the two major structures in the belt that are related to the major deposits are the Senegal Mali Shear Zone. That's the belt with the gold hue that goes from north to south, goes through the heart of our property. In fact, we have about 38 kilometers of exposure to the Senegal Mali Shear Zone. The second belt here is to the west. That's the main transcurrent. It dips into the Senegal, the country of Senegal. And this is what's related to Endeavor Mining's Sabodala, Gora, and Massawa group of mines. That was previously Teranga until Endeavor bought them a few years ago. Excuse me. Going further south along the belt, you have Barrick's Loulo-Gounkoto mine complex. Past production, reserves, resources, it's well over 15 million ounces, still going strong. Production in 2023 was over 700,000 ounces. Further south along the belt, you have B2 Gold's flagship Fekola mine. Combined resource, it's well over 7 million ounces. They're actively expanding operations there, as well as actively exploring their land package. And then at the southern end of the belt, before you get into Guinea, you've got Managem's Boto Diaka. That's a little over 2 million ounces. And on the main transcurrent, like I said previously, you have Endeavor's Sabodala, Gora, Massawa group of mines, as well as Resolute's Mako mine. And all told, that camp now is well over 10 million ounces. So it's a very active area, both for exploration, production, and as well as M&A. This slide is just a little bit of history, in fact, of M&A that's gone on in the belt and the valuations of some of the transactions and some of the metrics. And really the high level takeaway is when smaller companies find something compelling and interesting here, they usually don't last long, and they usually get bought, and they usually get bought at significant premiums. And so you can sort of go through this slide for your own interest. But needless to say, there have been at least half a dozen major high-profile M&A acquisitions over the last decade in this belt, and some smaller ones as well. Okay, so this is the Senegal Mali Shear Zone project in a little bit more detail. You're looking at a plan view of the permit, or of the group of permits that make up the 440 square kilometers. In the background, you have analytical signal magnetics. And we've also demarcated in the black dashed line where the Senegal Mali Shear Zone is roughly located. And really, you can see the demarcation between the blue, the magnetic lows, and the red to the west, the magnetic highs. And these are two completely different rock packages. You've got alternate volcanics to the west, and you've got sediment rock packages to the east. And what you can see are these purple and yellow dots. The purple dots represent golden soil anomalies, soil samples greater than 200 part per billion gold, or 0.2 grams per ton, all the way up to 16,000, which is 16 grams per ton, which is extremely high in a soil sample. The yellow are 50 to 200 ppb gold. And really what this is meant to show you is the sheer amount of anomalism that occurs, gold anomalism that occurs close to the Senegal Mali Shear Zone. On the western side, the gray line is where we demarcate roughly where we feel the main transcurrent the secondary shear zone is located. You can see a cluster of gold and soil anomalies in this area as high as 9,000 ppb or 9 grams per ton gold, and a whole bunch of ground in between these two structures where there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of gold anomalism. You can see the black stars on the property, and these are zones that we've discovered via drilling. And they're at various levels of development. Some are shallow discoveries, some are modeled gold zones. And the larger stars, are the zones that contribute to the 1.1 million ounce combined resource we have on the property so far. And so some of the highlighted zones would be the areas in the lower left here, Gurbasi West, Gurbasi East. These two areas here combined are a little over 400,000 ounces. The lower right, Mugiafara, which is the largest single zone of gold we've found on the property to date. It's a little over 400,000 ounces. It sits within a 3 kilometer wide by 4 kilometer long anomalous gold area. It's obvious that it can get a lot bigger. And so these are areas where we plan to do aggressive follow-up with the drill to expand. In the central part of the property here is an area called Barani. The Barani and Barani East area is the focus of our current preliminary economic assessment, which is 90% complete at this point. We're hoping to publish very, very soon. We're just going through the final drafts right now. So this area here has a at surface, relatively high grade oxide zone at a little over 2 grams. It's free digging. And we believe it represents low hanging fruit for the company to fast track into production. And so we have a fully permitted small scale mining license over this area. So we can start right away. And really, we just want to get the PEA out. And so we can discuss the opportunity here in a lot more detail, as well as the plan with financiers and our shareholders. And then we have a smattering of other zones where we have very compelling results. Up here, SOA, 2 grams over 30 meters. That was a shallow air core hole. It needs to be followed up because it's obvious that there's more gold in the area. And as well, areas like Manikoto to the north, they are very interesting opportunities that need to be followed up. And, there's a lot of stuff like that all over the property. And so, like I said, there are opportunities to incorporate new gold zones into the resource, as well as expand existing zones. And we have some areas where we have at surface free digging oxide, where we think we can fast track into production and get some significant cash flow going. And that's what the current PEA is addressing. So here's a detailed breakdown of the resource as it exists by zone. I'll just touch on a few of the salient points. I kind of already did, but in the southern part of the property, there are the Gurbasi East and West zones that cover over a little over 400,000 ounces combined, and Mugiafara on its own right now sits at over 400,000 ounces. So there's a little over 800,000 ounces of resource in the southern part of the property. It all sits within sort of 10 kilometers of each other. So we're definitely building a center of gravity in the southern part of the property. And then, like I said, we've got a number of zones, which really are just one gold system that we are hoping to connect up with more drilling. And this is in the Barani East area. This slide just talks about what our exploration strategy is. We do get the question on occasion, how do you focus when you have so many gold zones and such a large land package? And really what we have is a sort of sliding scale of priorities. And we prioritize where we think the biggest and most obvious opportunities are to add significant economic resource for the least amount of capital deployed. And in this part of the world, you can get surprised and drill into a gold zone that can completely change your priorities overnight. So it's a flexible model that we use, and we are prepared to pivot should we find something very compelling, which is always a possibility in this part of the world. This is a little bit about the planned exploration that we have. Um, so what you see here are the holes that we have planned. In yellow are the air core holes. These are shallow holes for fleshing out new targets or stepping out along strike from existing zones to test for extensions. It's a very cost-effective way of testing new targets. And so you can see the general trends in this case here, a northeast trend, a north to south trend that we're testing or that we're hoping to test. The orange are RC. The RC, obviously we can drill a lot deeper than the air core. And so the RC is typically to test for extensions at depth and along strike for existing zones where we have a higher degree of confidence that we're going to have success because it is more expensive to drill RC. And then the red holes you see are diamond drilling. This is when we want to drill into existing zones to get structural information or to get significant depth extension on existing zones where we have high degrees of confidence. And so we have some diamond holes, deeper diamond holes planned at places like Mugiafara and Grabasi West, where we have existing zones, and as well at Manankoto. So like I said, all total, we've got a little over 20,000 ounces of, or 20,000 meters of drilling planned with another 10,000 meters of contingency for real-time follow-up. So just a high level, like I said, a big regional scale project in the heart of the action in the Kenyeba window of Western Mali at 440 square kilometers. We control major portions of the two major shear zones that are related to the large gold deposits in the belt. This is a very active area, both for mining, for exploration, as well as for M&A activity. And we believe our target model is working, and we have a large drill program planned to follow up on existing zones, as well as test new ones where we think there's a high degree of prospectivity. And then sort of generally from a corporate update perspective regarding our preliminary economic assessment, we are 90% complete. We are hoping to publish very soon. I don't want to give an exact date because these things always have a way of taking longer than you'd like them to, but it's imminent, and we're hoping for a positive outcome. And then the next steps would be securing project financing to go ahead and build that small mine. A couple other corporate initiatives that the company is taking is we're looking at other districts within West Africa with the aim of potentially acquiring new exploration projects. We've been evaluating a number of projects over the last 6 months, and we're optimistic that we might have some positive news for the market here over the next little while. And so, we're looking to diversify geographically out of Mali and become more of a regional player within West Africa. And hopefully we'll have some positive developments on that front over the next, month or two. So that's it for me. And thank you very much for your time.